Welcome to Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance, and we are joined today by Jimmy Eldridge. He is a member of the Tennessee House of Representatives. He is chairman of the Consumer, what's it called? The Consumer and
Human Resource Agency.
I can't even read my own writing. There you have it. My eyes are going, as you can see. But as a result of your efforts, there is no doubt that the workers' comp situation in Tennessee has really changed. A lot of folks feel as if we're on the right path. So let's talk about what happened back in 2013.
Sure,
a mighty
absolutely.
effort. Give us a sense of what happened.
Well, first of all, the committee I chair deals with all the legislation that has to do with workers' comp in the state of Tennessee, and workers' comp is very vital to every state's economic welfare and development. For, equating the jobs, taking care of the employees, taking care of the employers, make sure it's a fair system. And this was an administration bill that came down from the governor, and this has been tossed about for many, many years, but we finally got it all put together, excuse me, in 2013, and we did pass the bill. There was a lot of debate on the bill, and as I said in one of the committee meetings, I said we got to keep that train on track. I said because this freight train is moving on, the train's moving on, and you either get on or not. And so we passed it, and here we are.
Let's talk about some of the most significant reform elements in there.
Right.
I think it's fair to say that the most relevant was the definition of causation. And the decision that was made is that in order for a worker to receive benefits from the workers' comp system, it had to be proven that
that was the cause. That was a cause.
At least 50% of the cause, or 50% plus one.
Absolutely. And another important element of it was to get it out of the court system with all the litigation expenses, because we were not trying to take business away from attorneys, what have you. There's a lot of business out there for the attorneys.
I used to be a lawyer. Take away business.
Now,
you can
now
bash
the truth
lawyers
comes
all
out.
you
All right,
want.
I'm ready now.
Exactly.
But it set up a system of where people can still use a lawyer if they want to.
Right.
But it was fair for everybody. It was a win-win for everybody.
I got to tell you, this system that you set up is revolutionary.
Right.
What you have done, in a lot of ways, whether you're an employer or an employee, you are able to get a decision so much faster than in the pre-reform system. I mean, listen to this. I was reading the stats. 86 hearings in that first year,
Absolutely.
Decisions within 52 days, 29 appeals, decisions within 7 days, an average of an appellate decision in 4.37 days. I mean, what world am I in that this is happening?
Right. And this that's why I said this freight train's moving on, because what it did is streamline the system. I always say, as the governor says, keep the train moving, but keep it on track and be fair to everybody, and we were fair.
And you talk about fairness, and another element that I thought in a lot of ways was inspired, if I may say, I'm not taking a position, but it seemed to be incredibly wise, was the creation of this ombudsman.
Right.
Because the reality is not all of us can afford a lawyer.
Right.
And so explain the ombudsman system.
Brad, one thing I want to compliment you, thank you for having me on here.
Oh, please.
And I can tell that you've done your homework
I
on
try.
this bill.
I try.
But it allows a person to go to sit down with somebody, get some directions on how do I handle a claim, what are my rights, what am I entitled to, what kind of hearings will I have. And it's just somebody, a position that helps the citizens.
It's not an advocate.
Right.
They're not your lawyer.
They're not your lawyer.
But they're giving you the information.
That's correct.
I mean, I don't practice anymore, but I was having to read some legal forms recently. They're complicated. They're confusing.
Absolutely. And Brad, the good thing is we're beginning to see some good results out of that. It's still new. The law was passed in 2013, but it didn't go into effect until 2000
July 1st, 2014.
2014. And we haven't seen all the results yet, but we're seeing so far we're seeing good results. We're seeing premiums been stabilized, which helps the employers because, we want to keep our industry in our states here. We don't want them to leave because the workers' comp premiums price them out of the marketplace. But on the other hand, it's got to be fair to the employees. And this is most important, to make sure the employees were taken care of.
Right.
And this was not a bill in any way attempt to hurt the employees in any way or take away any of their rights or benefits.
And let's talk about that, because obviously it's a balance. Look, people do get injured on the job.
They do.
And people also try to defraud the system. So, you're in this situation where you want to help those that are truly hurting, but then I'm sure you've seen the Dateline episodes where someone's on workers' comp and they're surfing in Hawaii.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's frustrating on both sides.
Right. What was unique about this bill, Tennessee was one of two of the last states in the United States of America to reform the workers' comp. So all the other states had reformed workers' comp.
You would have thought
in different ways.
Right.
They, maybe a little different in their legislation, their bills, because they're state laws. But in Tennessee, the other state that hadn't reformed it, and I'm not sure where they are today, but I think it was Alabama, Tennessee and Alabama.
And you mentioned other states, and once the bill passed, it went through the channels to create a whole new court system. Because literally, but what I enjoyed reading was that there was an effort to look at best practices in other states.
Absolutely.
Because I have to think, look, our friends in Kentucky or New York, California, wherever it may be, they may have elements, and Tennessee could pick and choose the best elements from each.
And that's true, Brad. And certainly not all litigation lawyers got on board with this. But I've got a lot of good friends in my community that are litigation lawyers. And they said, we know we had to do this. We understand it, even though it might have affected our fees a little bit, what have you. But most of them are saying, it was the right thing to do.
And when I was a lawyer, I remember my overwhelming frustration was I could never really become an expert in one area because I was having to litigate so many different categories. And then I think of the judges and I think, God, every day it's a new item. But yet with this court, these judges are exclusively dedicated to workers' comp, which is a very unique system. And to have a workers' comp judge, I mean, I would want someone who's an expert in workers' comp to decide my case.
Right. Now, you made a comment. You were once a lawyer.
Right. I am. I still am.
You still am a lawyer.
I know that.
Right. So, because one day I'll probably say I used to be a legislator.
But are you a lawyer as well?
I'm not a lawyer.
You're not a lawyer. Okay, I was going to say once a legislator, always a legislator. And so the report came out recently on the first year, quite positive. There is one area that is continuing, though, to cause concern, and that is the treatment of pain for those that are injured on the job. So we're assuming, for argument's sake in this conversation, the person has been deemed to be eligible. They have a chronic pain, and then what happens is they wind up being given a narcotic, an opioid, and you know what happens
And one
next.
problem leads to another problem, and prescription drug addicts, by no means
it's devastating.
It's devastating. It
devastating.
destroys the family, it hurts the family.
My dad's a pharmacist. I mean, we see. I mean, these are people like you and me.
Absolutely.
Barely drink, never did anything wrong. They start taking pain pills because they have bona fide pain. The next thing you know, they're in rehab.
And then it destroys their life and destroys the lives of their family and everybody around them, and hurts our state as well, hurts all states.
So what is, if you know, is there an effort by the new workers' comp organization to try to get a handle? Because look, it's not just in the workers' comp system. Opioid addiction has become a national issue. And so do you have a sense as to what's happening on that front?
Well, we're continuing to deal with legislation in that area, and every year we come back with, just like every year, in the last couple of years we come back tweaking the bill a little bit. We learn a little bit more about it. Once you get a big, major overhaul out there, you find little areas that you need to work on a little harder, come back, change this, change that. And
there are also efforts, I don't think you spearheaded them, to create an opt-out system where if you qualify, if a business qualifies, they can opt out of the state workers' comp system. Bill has not been successful. What's your sense?
Well, that bill came about a couple years ago, and it's assigned to my committee because it deals with workers' comp. And right now in Tennessee, we're not on board with that. We're still talking to all the parties that be.
Is that your personal view as well? Let's give this system a try.
Right. That's coming too fast for a major overhaul that we just did with workers' comp. Let's make sure this is going to do everything we want to do, or how much more do we need to tweak it. But when you start opting out companies, what have you, and that's the major big boys out there, and that can really devastate our workers' comp in Tennessee. And I want to applaud one lady. Abby Hudgens is a head. You probably want to bring that up. If you want to know anything about workers' comp,
just call her.
Call Abby Hudgens. We love her to death. She's great. She's knowledgeable. She knows the system, and she's a and she's a very soft-spoken woman, but carries a big stick.
Congratulations on this success. I want to hear more about it when we come back.
Yes, sir, Rick.
He is Jimmy Eldridge. He is a member of the Tennessee House of Representatives. My name is Brad Pomerance. It's Charter Local Edition.